right. So, really, you're going to give me that motion? Really? This is going to start off awesome. For those of you that don't know me, I think most of you do. My name is Edward Chrysler. I'm the North American PR representative for Sapphire Technology. Sapphire makes video cards. Now, when I got asked to do this, I told them, the last thing you guys want is a long spiel about how great Sapphire is, so we're not going to do that. But what I am going to do is this. A website was at PAX, and 3-4 companies were there. As they went to these 3 to 4 companies, they did a video, and they said, you've got 1 minute to tell us what makes your video card company the company we should buy video cards from. I accept the challenge. And this challenge is difficult for me. For those of you that know me, anything I can say in 1 minute, I'll do in 20. So I need somebody with a stopwatch. You got to time me. Let's see if I can do this. This is a challenge. I'm surprised Doug didn't pull his stopwatch out. All right, we ready? We got somebody ready. Say go. The reason you should buy Sapphire over all other companies is Sapphire is the industry leader in innovation of video cards. First HDMI port on a consumer video card was created by Sapphire. First factory overclock video card was created by Sapphire. First gaming video card with multiple fans created by Sapphire. First video card with vapor chamber technology, yes, NVIDIA, you're welcome, created by Sapphire. First video card with multiple heat pipe cooling solutions, created by Sapphire. First video card that had an open PCB, created by Sapphire. And there's another first coming this generation. If you want the best quality, the highest level of innovation, Sapphire is the company to buy. Thank you very much. Sapphire rocks! Drop the mic, leave the stage. Seriously, dude, everybody gets it confused. They think AMD or NVIDIA. Forget that crap. AMD and NVIDIA barely make video cards. It's like Asus, MSI, EVGA, and then, of course, the top of the heap, Sapphire. So that's how you do it. Really? A timer? No. I meant the beeping. I just wanted somebody to see if I could do it in a minute. Beep, beep. You say I should beep at the end of the presentation? Okay, I'm going to beep at the end of the presentation for you all. All right, so what I wanted to talk to you guys about, though, a topic I thought that would be cool, is PC gaming, how we got to where we are today and where we're going tomorrow. I have a unique perspective in this crowd probably and in the industry in general. I started video gaming in 1977. PC gaming didn't exist. Computer gaming barely existed, okay? The little handhelds that we used to play from Mattel to play football that had like a plus on it was brand new technology. And I was there. I was part of the beta test team for King's Quest, the original, not the remakes. I've been a beta tester for literally hundreds of video games since then. I've been involved in this industry for a long time. And that perspective makes it fun for me to watch where PC gaming has come from and to where it's going. So to understand the roots of PC gaming, you got to go way back to when gaming companies were companies such as SSI, Avalon Hill. These were the big gaming companies of the day. But these gaming companies were not known for video games. They were known for board games. Early computer gaming was based on essentially 3 types of games. You had your RPG. If you were a Dungeons and Dragons fans with dice and your charts and everything else, dude, computer gaming was amazing. I don't have to spend 3 hours setting up a table. I can just play. This is cool. So RPGs were a big thing. Board game strategy games. Now, most of you probably haven't heard of games like Panzerblitz. Okay, there were these amazing in-depth board games for strategy. But again, like D&D, they took a long time to set up. There were hundreds of charts. A single move could take an hour to go through charts and die rolls to perform. Computers could do that same level of calculations in a second. So faster gameplay, the ability to enjoy the games more was a big deal. And finally, there was simulations. That was the big three in gaming. That's where computer gaming got its start. Now, we like to complain about computer gaming today. Man, we got so many bugs. Man, that graphic quality sucks. Dude, you guys don't know what graphics quality sucks means, okay? You don't know until it's ASCII characters to run across your screen, till it's sprites. We didn't have any of the fancy stuff we have today. In fact, it was even worse than that. In the early days of computer gaming, you actually had it really easy early on, but nobody understood it. Early days we had, before PCs, you had the Commodore, you had the Atari, you had the Timex Sinclair, the Texas Instrument 99-4A, which was seriously some of the most cool technology ever to come out, and it never took off. You had all these, but they worked like consoles do today. You got a game, it was a disc. You plugged it in, oh my God, you played. You didn't have to worry about drivers, you didn't have to worry about your video cards, you didn't have to worry about anything. You just plugged it in and it played. It was amazing. We were in heaven, we were in nirvana. This was incredible. And it stayed that way through the Amiga, through the ST. And then the PC Junior was introduced. And believe it or not, we took a step backwards. With the PC, we took a step backwards because now, with DOS, came this weird problem. PC gaming now required that you had to know the proper magic spells. What I mean by that is, there were two little files that were the be-all, end-all of PC gaming in the early days of PC gaming. Config sys and auto execute bat. It was magic. It really was. Because you only had this little space of low memory, and you had to hide all the system files in high memory to give as much low memory as you could get so the games could even run. And you had to develop this voodoo for how to do this. And you guys, it sounds weird, right? But it's not like overclocking today. Overclocking today, what you're going to do is, I'm going to sit down. You guys can still see me. I'm tall enough. I see all of you. Overclocking today, you do your overclock, you stress test it, you start it up, bang, you're done. You never mess with it again. Not auto-execute and config sys. Nope. You had to have a different one for every game because every game had to load in a different order into memory. So we had this magic of we were constantly tweaking this just to make the PC games function. So when you look today, this is easy now compared to what it was back then. So I talked about the fact that it was the big three genres, early days. And it was. We had some amazing simulations, even though we didn't have 3D graphics. A simulation I absolutely loved. I was a submariner in the Navy. There's a simulation that was called Aces of the Deep. It was based on the North Atlantic up there around Great Britain during World War II with German U-boats. Amazing simulation. By today's standard, the graphics suck. But by every other standard of gameplay, of fun, of actual simulation quality, it is still to this day one of the best submarine simulations ever made. None of the new stuff matches the quality of the gameplay. We had a flight simulator called F-15 Strike Eagle. Now, if you ever played this, and you've played other flight simulators, you're going to go, yeah, but come on, that wasn't an accurate simulator, was it? Believe it or not, it was. At the time that it was produced, my uncle-in-law was working for McDonnell Douglas on the lines that was producing the Strike Eagle. And he sat down with me and we talked about the Eagle is such an amazing plane to fly because it's completely computer controlled. The pilot literally kind of points it in a direction and it just goes. And the simulation was actually very accurate. The amount of damage it could take, the way it would handle, it was a really accurate simulation despite the fact the graphics weren't that good. As far as role-playing games go, let's face it, the classics of role-playing came out of this era. Wizardry, Ultima, these all came from this era. In fact, to me, the RPGs that best define the era of the day was developed by one of the companies I mentioned, SSI. And these were called the Gold Box Edition. What they did was they took D&D for the first time, truly took D&D and transferred it to the computer. You didn't play it with your friends, you played it by yourself. The classic RPGs today all use their model where you've got a group of 4 characters. That was classic D&D, by the way. It was usually 4 to 6 people at a party. You had your 4 characters, and you played the game. Eye of the Beholder, Pool of Radiance, and the others went on to redefine the RPG genre and create what we know today as classic RPGs. So we fast forward through all of this, everything starts to get a little better. We start to see a little more graphics, we start to see a little more depth of gameplay. The first-person shooter is thrust upon us. A lot of them claim to be the one that really got the revolution started. To me, it was Wolfenstein 3D. Wolfenstein 3D, to me, was what really defined the beginning of it. Then you had Doom and Quake that pretty much took the genre and took off. That was the first push at graphics. We finally saw graphics begin to become important because people wanted to see blood and gore when they shot stuff. Okay, they shot stuff, the brain exploded. I mean, for us, it was like, this is kind of cool. We're running around, we're shooting stuff. Oh my God, his head exploded. It didn't look that good by today's standards, but back then it was incredible. It also, though, in my opinion, led to a fall in PC gaming. Because at this point, graphics began to take the place of depth of story and quality of gameplay. More and more games became focused on how pretty they were and less on how deep they were. And we saw this continue to advance. We saw the genres begin to change and continue to advance. Simulators, there were some great simulators. Microsoft Flight Simulator to this day is probably still the greatest simulator ever done on a PC. These simulators, though, became less about real and more about, wow, that looks incredible, and that's it. RPGs began to evolve. We moved from the classic RPG, which had that kind of third-person look-down mode with your party, to being less about the story, less about the depth of the RPG, and they became about a first-person shooter experience. That's where we see the RPG today. The modern RPG, like Fallout and Skyrim, is actually more based on the first-person shooter experience than it's based on the classic RPG elements. Doesn't make them bad, it's just a shift that we begin to see take place. And this is followed through on everything going forward. We see all this move now into first-person shooter, into graphics being more important than storyline and story depth. The good news is we're seeing the shift begin to go the other way. We've seen the guys that did the original Fallout have released Wasteland, classic RPG style. Pillars of Eternity, classic RPG style, and both games have received critical acclaim. They've got a large following. They're really moving back in that direction. We see Doom released in the original concept of the first-person shooter game. They threw out realistic graphics. They said, dude, we just want it to look good and look gory. And they achieved that. The solo play in Doom is nothing short of amazing. But this leads to another area that changed in PC gaming. Early day, it was all about the solo play game because we didn't have the internet. But this wonderful thing got invented. It was called a LAN party. And you're at the modern equivalent of that today. Now, these were held in garages or offices all across the country. Business would close. Doug's business used to be one of the notorious for this. Business would close at Friday night at 5 o'clock, and most people wouldn't actually go home till Sunday afternoon because they're busy eating pizza, drinking beer, hanging out with their friends, trash talking across the room or across the garage. People would grab their computers, lug over to their buddy's house, sit out in the garage. Mom would be freaking out, going, what are all these weird kids doing out there yelling and screaming about? And why can't I park my car in the garage? But it was something that grew and developed into what we see today. That was the classic LAN party, and it came into existence because we didn't have the internet. We had no way to play these great multiplayer games with our friends. Well, the internet comes along, and it was a godsend to get. It was kind of like what we thought with the early RPGs. We're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can play with my buddies. Yeah, that died real quick. And the reason it died real quick, because not only could you play with your friends, but sometimes you were forced to play with people you'd prefer not to. Let's face it, you've all done this, you all understand this. Being able to play with your friends in groups like this and hang out is wonderful. But when you go out on the internet, you go out to open PvP servers, how many of you are aware of a term I use called the douchebag quotient? You get into open PvP servers, and I apologize, ladies, but there are a lot of douchebags in the open PvP server. People cheat at games. They forget that the game was about the fun. It becomes about the winning and the bragging rights. It ceases to be about the fun. And so we've watched this devolve. We watch gaming communities that used to be small groups that were tight-knit and fun develop into these massive groups of millions of people. When you get millions of people, there was, I think it was Men in Black that the phrase was made. People are smart, but people, as in the mass of millions, are dangerous. They're stupid. They're crazy. And it's the same thing with PC gamers. You get small communities. You get a 100-man community. You get a 200-man community, a LAN community built up, and you get some of the most incredible people I've ever met. I love coming into these communities and getting accepted and being part of them. And then you get out and you look at the gaming community in general today. It's a bunch of whiny, cry little babies. It really is. Oh my God, this game does not allow my $4,000 video card to look better than real life. What's wrong with you? It's broke. Okay, seriously, that's the mentality we see in gaming today. And that's the mentality that when I go to these events, I try to help you guys understand we've got to break. We as gamers have to break this. We've got to clean it up. So we've watched gaming evolve from early roots, very small group of genres, and it was based on solo play and story and content. And it's come forward today to multiplayer, no story, no content, get in, hack slash real fast, run, and be done. But where do we go tomorrow? And that's the cool thing to watch. We're watching the pendulum swing back. We're seeing content begin to become important again. We're seeing small groups begin to become important again. I'm on a lot of forums where I discuss the fact, to me, the next big evolution in gaming is not going to be multiplayer as we see it today. It's going to be micro servers. So, for example, let's use a game like Insurgency. I'm hoping everybody here knows what Insurgency is. First-person shooter game, great first-person shooter game. My gaming community owns its own server. We limit who can come on it. And there's about 30 people right now that have password. And we're not that picky, okay? If you join the community and come hang out with us, we'll let you on the server. We're not that picky. If you're a douchebag, we'll just kick you off. But the point is, by having that small server, by controlling that community, we get the fun back of that small LAN experience with all having to sit in the same room. I hope we're going to see the same thing happen with MMOs. Richard Garriott is currently working on an MMO. For those of you who don't know who Richard Garriott is, God, I feel old is all I can say. Lord British is who he's known as. If you've ever played an Ultima game, that's who you owe the thank you to. He's working on a new MMO, and what it does is it allows multiple levels of interaction. So you can play this game as a regular MMO with the entire world, and you better have a lot of earplugs and turn off chat and just not want to deal with anybody. You can play with just your friends on your friends list, or all that show up in chat or in the world. That's kind of cool. Or if you feel like being a loner, you can play by yourself and not see the rest of the world. That's cool. But what I think the future is going to be is not that approach, but again, the micro server, where you're going to be able to have a small server with your friends. You're going to pay a subscription fee for this. Somebody's got to pay for the server to exist. But for that $10 a month, you get to say only 20 people I've invited can actually be here, so that we don't have to deal with the general masses out there. We get to have this small group. Now, you'll notice I haven't mentioned VR yet in the future of gaming. There's a reason why. Even though VR is very cool, it's very cool. If you haven't seen this demo, go see this demo. But what this demo does is actually make an excellent point for me. Gaming in VR right now is very restricted. The few games that accept VR aren't really good games. They're more of tech demos. But imagine being able to walk into a museum and you're looking at all the amazing paintings, and they say, by the way, if you'd like to see some more paintings, step right over here. They put you in a VR headset and you're walking around the Louvre in VR. Incredible idea. Doug was pointing out to me, Doug was a scuba diver for a long time. The scuba demo. What if you could go down and walk through the Titanic underwater? That would be cool. What if you want to buy a house, but you don't want to go look at 30 houses by driving all over town? You could walk in your realtor, put on a VR headset, and explore 3 or 4 houses without ever leaving that room. This is the future of VR as we see it right now. Will it impact gaming? Absolutely. Everything that happens in the PC has been impacted by gaming coming forward. Let's be real, folks. If we didn't have PC gaming, we would still have single-core processors with about a gig of RAM, little bitty hard drives, and we would be looking at word processors that were little blue letters on a black screen. For those of you that don't know, that's how WordPerfect originally looked. And we wouldn't have what we have today. PC gaming drove the PC market forward. It's what's driven to VR. So the problem with VR for PC gamers is the reality is we can't afford it. Okay? I don't know how many of you out there do. Show of hands, how many of you out there have a video card in your system right now that you paid for, not mom or dad, you paid for, that, wait, not yet, that cost you more than $400? Now look how few of you there are with your hands up. How many of you have a video card that cost anywhere from $150 to $250 when you bought it? Quite a few more. The reality is that market is the exciting market for anybody because that's the market we all really live in. It's really cool to be able to say, yeah, man, I'm going to have a $1,000 video card and a $1,500 processor. Anybody think that's stupid? $1,500 processor in my system that, by the way, isn't faster in games than a $400 processor. What? So we're going to spend all this money. We'd like to say we'll spend all this money, but a lot of us have mortgages. We have children. We have a spouse who would beat the crap out of us if we bought that card. We have all these things in real life that stop us from moving to that level. So that's why the AMD announcement with the 480, and we're going to do a Q&A here in just a second. The AMD announcement to me with the 480 is incredible to me. You're going to hear a lot of PR reps over the next few months going on and on about mainstream and how important it is. These are the same PR reps, by the way, that are what I call flavor of the month gamers. Right now, every PR rep on the planet is going to spend time telling you about Overwatch. Oh my God, I play Overwatch all the time. Oh, it's amazing. Oh my God, it's incredible. Oh my God, it's... Okay, that's really cool. What did you play before that? Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 is amazing. Battlefield 4 is cool. What did you play before that? Call of Duty. Call of Duty is amazing. They play what's hot, and they talk about what's hot. But if you really try to get them to talk gaming, they can't talk gaming. I can talk gaming because I literally play everything. If you ever want to really get some of my time, sit down and ask me about my current Fallout 4 survival run. But when it comes to that, it's also about the mainstream. They're going to be talking about the mainstream. Here's why I want you to pay attention to what I'm going to say when we talk about that. 20 years, I did a radio show on technology as a reviewer. Not working for a company. I was a reviewer. I nailed companies for crap. And for 20 years, I built the pulpit of mainstream gaming amongst reviewers. Other reviewers thought I was nuts because I didn't want to see the $400 video card. I wanted to see the $200 video card. I didn't want to talk about overclocking a processor. I wanted to talk about what the stock speeds were going to be on the cheap processor so a gamer can truly enjoy it. I didn't spend time rushing at 4K. I was back at 1080 going, how do we smooth out gameplay and make it look better? So when you hear me talk about mainstream and I get passionate, it's not a hype, folks. This is really where I've lived for 20 years. I love mainstream gaming. I think it's awesome. That's why I love coming to these events. I love because I got people here who didn't even know what a discrete video card was in their system. I'm not joking. They had no idea. That was totally cool to me. I got to sit down and explain it. And they suddenly woke up and go, this is amazing that we can do this stuff. This is the stuff that excites me. This is the stuff that gets me excited. And that's cool for me because this is the stuff that gets you guys excited. So what I'm going to do is this. Any questions you have, I will attempt to answer right now. If I cannot answer, I will at least not lie to you. I will duck politely. Or not politely, possibly. It depends on the mood you get me in. But we'll cover everything. We're also going to do something else. When this presentation finishes, I want everyone to experience what I call the wonder of a well-done mainstream gaming system. A little sales pitch, forgive me, but NVIDIA's got the same thing. They just won't make it inexpensive for everyone. There's a wonderful feature AMD is supporting. It's called FreeSync. Now, what this does is it smooths out your gameplay experience. So as your frame rates do this while you're gaming, and everybody from a 1080 to a 260, your frame rates do this while you game. It's just the way gaming works. It smooths that out in your eye as it displays. It's an experience that you don't notice till you haven't had it. I've had people sit down with a FreeSync monitor and after playing on an hour go, well, that's not that impressive. Now, I've had other people that have used a FreeSync monitor for a week and had it taken away from them. Dude, I want that back really bad. It's that kind of an experience. So you take an inexpensive FreeSync monitor like the Nixius or the AOC. We're going to give away a Nixius, by the way. You take that kind of experience, you tie it with a 380, 380X, or that 480 that's coming down the road. You tie it with that, and you've got the most incredible gaming experience you can imagine. And there is no way on earth at the same $500 total price point of that, on the NVIDIA side, you can have that experience. You cannot have as good of gaming experience. Sure, you can have higher resolution. Sure, you may even get faster overall top-end frame rates, but your gameplay experience will not be as smooth. And I'm going to give away for you today, somebody's going to walk out of here with a 380 and a Nixius monitor. Because I want to share that experience with somebody else here. If you want to see the experience, come by my desk. I've got a 380X and a Nixius over there right now that I'm gaming on. I want to do a real-world demo. But before that, though, let's open this up. Any question? Any. I'm scared of nothing. Doug, you're going to MC this for me, so you find them and point them out and let them speak. Oh, by the way, those of you that are watching on the stream, we've got people watching this, and if you're watching on the stream and have questions, post them on the stream chat, and they're going to get involved too. Yeah, okay. I cannot discuss 480 specifications due to NDAs. Also, though, in fairness to you guys, I will never discuss anything about performance of a video card that I have not physically seen. That's the reviewer in me. I'm skeptical as hell of my own engineers. And they hate me for that, by the way. They're like, well, this is what it's going to do. Cool, send me the card, let me try it. Well, we told you what's going to... No, you send me the card, you let me try it. So until I try it, I can't discuss that. All right, so what do we got? Fire card. Yeah. That's a rough call. That's a really rough call because this launch, and I'm not scared to say this publicly because anybody with a brain cell has already noticed this. The price point they're talking about and the rumored performance levels they're talking about really throws a monkey wrench in the 300 series lineup. The good news is we're beginning to see prices fall already. So prices are beginning to fall now. Where they're going to bottom out at, I have no idea. But it's great for all of you because this means this level of performance is becoming available at a more reasonable price point now. So consumers are winning on this no matter what happens. In the back. Doug, for those of you that do not know, Doug and I have known each other since we were 14. Doug is my partner. We do a weekly stream called Sapphire Nation Live. We're not doing it this week because we're here. We do a weekly stream about PC gaming in general and computing in general and being a geek in general. We've been friends forever. And while he's not my secret lover, he is considered by both of our spouses my second wife. And he treats me like he's my wife. He knows where all the skeletons are buried. He helped bury half of them. Any others? Okay, so what Vulkan is AMD created a new API that was designed, it's called closer to metal, is the term that's used. And what that means is a lot of the API is out of the way. Now, to understand this, I'm going to not get too technical. I'm going to try to keep this really simplistic for everyone because I need it simplistic because that's the mind I have. Chips work in zeros and ones. Everybody understands that. That's all they understand. They're zeros and ones. And chips have a specific series of instruction sets. Now, programming specifically to those instruction sets can be very difficult because it's consuming, if you've ever met a Fortran or COBOL programmer, you understand these are people who have no social life because they spend all their time writing that code. It's the same thing when you try to program directly to a chip. In the old days, we called it machine language. The problem with that is while it's fast and it's efficient and it does the job amazing, it takes forever to do anything. And if you make a mistake, God forbid, it's like old punch cards trying to find it. And if you don't know what old punch cards are, go find somebody that's made a punch card program, take it so that you get to go run it, and right before you run it, drop it on the floor. Now you understand the mess you're about to have. Unless you've done it, you can't understand that joke. It's really complicated. So what the industry did was they developed what's called an API. Now, this is a higher level programming language. It uses terminology and words that are easier for the programmer to understand, and it allows them to quickly and efficiently design a program. And then it takes and converts that from that down into the machine code into the zeros and ones. So what we've done is with Vulkan, and DX12 does this as well, is the level of depth of conversion has been reduced. It's been optimized and made more efficient so that the commands are now closer to hitting the direct command built into the metal. This results in a faster program. It results in a more efficient code that just uses the performance that's available more efficiently, and it makes use of additional features more efficiently. So AMD realized that it wasn't going to get it off the ground by itself. AMD's been really good about this. They develop a lot of open source solutions. And so when Microsoft made it clear DX12 was going to have this same approach, they gave away their API, and that is the basis of what's becoming Vulkan. Vulkan is a direct competitor API to DX12. It's even cleaner than DX12. It's much more efficient in design. And what he's referring to is, so when Doom came out, there is a version of Doom that uses Vulkan. The reason this is a big deal is DX12 works in one platform, Windows. Vulkan works in Windows, Linux, Mac. It can work on cell phones. It can even work in consoles, for God's sake. And so this is a big deal. It's a big deal that the performance they saw out of this was so amazing. It proves Vulkan's ready for prime time. That developers need to step up and move in this direction. Will they or not is the question. As much as people hate to admit it, Windows is the de facto platform for PC gaming. There's nothing else. There's no reason for them to do anything else. And from a developer point of view, if you spend your time developing for DX12 and then you've got to redevelop for Vulkan, that's double the development time, but you're not going to get double the money back. You're not going to double your sales by doing this. So you're just not going to see, I think, a mass move to Vulkan anytime soon. I hope we do. Personally, I would prefer to see Vulkan over DX12. I don't know if that answers your question or not. Like I said, nothing I can do in a minute will I do in less than 20. Next. Yes. Because all the projects took the cool names, and then, well, let's face it, when you hand it over to most marketing teams, they're just not cool. Okay, they're not cool. Sapphire's a different structure, brother. Don't kind of say nitro. Okay, seriously. Next. Yes. Yeah, that's cool, ain't it? I think my opinion is we're going to see conversion within 2 generations. I think we have reached the point that we're really seeing this in the Fallout 4 community. The Fallout 4 community, so Bethesda did something nobody had done. They allowed, for the first time, there's only one game, by the way, that I know that does this, and it's Rocket League. They've allowed, for the first time, a crossover between consoles and PCs. So when you write a mod for a console, it'll also work on a PC or a PC for the console with Bethesda with Fallout. And the response from the console side, I got to tell you, really pisses me off. Because first, they're complaining. Why can't we have all the same features as the PC? Dude, you bought a console. You knew it was limited. What the hell? All right, but you see this complaint. You see this desire from the console users to want to have a more PC-like experience. Doug and I had this discussion the other day about it's frustrating for console users because they're being told this console will let you send email, this console will let you browse forums and go on the internet and do all this cool thing. Folks, really, have you tried to do this and type? Okay, seriously, if I'm doing an email that's 4 words and an emote, it'll work. But when I do an email, I email like I talk. I can't do anything in 2 lines that I can do in 20 paragraphs. When you do this, you want a keyboard. You want a real experience. First-person shooter gamers have quickly begun to realize nothing is more accurate than the keyboard and mouse. Nothing is more accurate than the keyboard and mouse. Well, now console gamers are like, well, like Rocket League, for example, which actually is better on a console. I don't know why they're complaining, but they're like, well, why can't we have the control of a keyboard and mouse? You've got a console! Okay, seriously, dude, you bought it. You made the intentional choice. It's not like you bought a PC and got it home and go, oh, that's a crappy controller. You know why? Because you could buy another controller for a PC. You're not stuck. There's a reason PCs are superior. Consoles have their place. Consoles are important. They're very inexpensive. They've introduced gaming to a whole new generation of people. But the time is coming where the bridge between the console and the PC, they're so close to being the same thing now that there's no reason not to make the bridge. The only difference between a console and a PC right now is the operating system. That's the only difference. That's going to stick around for a while. Sony's not going to want to give up its proprietary rights. Microsoft might. They might go ahead and back off, and basically they'll turn consoles into a gaming-specific PC. The OS might be a little, this is my theory, the OS might be a little more limited, but it'll have better gaming performance, is where I think they'll eventually go with consoles. They'll be lower cost, they'll be lower power, they'll basically be a budget gaming PC. But 1-2 generations, I think we're going to begin to see the crossover be enough that it's going to be really hard to start to tell the difference. Anybody else? I'm amazed at the questions I'm not getting, so that's all right. Well, if you want to ask a question, you can, but hold on. I can't hear you. Yell at me. Oh, that's a rough call. I really like Bethesda, not so much as you might believe, though, for the pure content. Bethesda does an amazing job at creating a sandbox. And then they basically shove the gamer in it and say, go have fun. That is what they do. And I love the direction that goes with the options. Bethesda does that, then they open the game up for modders. They make a game that has an amazing long life. I love to watch Bethesda. As far as who's doing more content, really, you got to watch indie developers. Most of the big companies are going for the simplest, quickest, fastest, easiest approach. We're looking at a lot of games coming forward that are really exciting. New Deus Ex, I'm really excited about the new Deus Ex. Love the story, love the content, love the direction the company's taking. We'll see if they keep the story going or if they begin to focus more and more on the graphics. If they keep the story going, absolutely you got to pay attention to them. Try to think of another really good one that's doing that right now. EA is probably lying to us, but they're telling us Battlefield 1 is going to have more content. I hope it does. World War I gaming to me is fun, but the demos I've seen really scare me. I've watched a few demos where they show the air combat. Dude, that looks like an X-Wing with a biplane skin, the way it flies. Okay, if this becomes Battlefront with a World War I skin, yeah, I won't even bother to play it. That's just lame to me. But it's worth watching to see what's going to happen. It's difficult to say which developers because it's hit and miss right now. The indie developers are where most of the real good content, though, is coming from right now. Okay. Yes. What's what? Most effective way to cure a hiccup. You really want to ask that question. He said I would answer any question. There's a little story behind this before I tell you. And if you're easily embarrassed or grossed, you might want to cover your ears. There's a game out there. It's a really inexpensive game. It's called Jackbox Party Pack. And I love this game because first, you don't even have to own it to play it. Only one person needs to own it. And it gives you a code. They go to a website and they can load up the game with you and they can play with you. And you don't even have to just play it. You can watch it and participate. Amazing product. And it's got all these serious little stupid games in it. And one of them is called Fibbage. Now, the idea behind Fibbage is this. They're going to present something to you, such as medical science has proven the most effective way to cure a hiccup is, and what you're supposed to do is create a lie. A lie that sounds outrageous enough that there's no way, but is believable enough somebody may buy it. Because the truth to these questions is always nuts. So we're watching this, and it was at Million Man Land. I don't know, did it happen at Land OC too? Okay, it came up at dinner. So, in fairness to me, I had a few drinks, and if I recall, I hit my head on a post. So I have a lot of reasons to say that was not normal. But it came up in the middle of a Million Man Land. They were putting it up on a screen, and it was hilarious because an entire room stopped gaming to look up at the screen because the answers come up. And the true answer was to massage the anus. If you massage your hole, I'm trying to be polite here, you cure hiccups. Now, yeah, I presume with your finger, I don't know. If you would like to test it, please feel free, because I personally have not tested it. But that, by the way, we looked it up, and that's a true answer. Medical science has proven that's the real answer. So it's, wow, just amazing. Yeah, I was surprised at some of the things that haven't been asked yet. Yeah, go ahead. Dude, my leash is off. I get to have fun. Ooh. I think before we see virtual reality, I need to see virtual reality fully untethered. I don't like the fact that, like the virtual reality system we've got over here, which, by the way, is a beautiful system. You're welcome, by the way. Sapphire provided the card. Beautiful system, but you're limited in your mobility because you got this big cable that's attached to you, and you got a limited range you can move. They showed off at Computex backpack VR units. Now, that concept sounds really neat until you realize you're wearing on your back basically a portable space heater that weighs about 15 pounds. The only virtual reality game that's going to make sense for that is Baton Death March. You just walk until you're dripping in sweat and falling down. And they've got to find a way. I imagine they've got a way to waterproof the inside of that, because otherwise you're going to be in the middle of Baton Death March because you just sorted out your computer. It's got further problems in the fact that good VR, even with the new cards that are coming, even with lower power consumption, still takes a lot of power. I've had a couple of gaming laptops. Those are an oxymoron, by the way. A good gaming laptop, when plugged in, is an amazing gaming experience. It really is. It's an amazing gaming experience. Unplug it and game. You've got about 5 minutes. And then the video card begins to suck the battery dry. And what you hear out of the sound card is just as it tries to find more juice. It doesn't work anymore. So they're going to have to put a lot of battery into this to make this work. So it's going to be heavy. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be bulky. And I think we've got to fix that before I really want to see games in this. A more exciting technology to me, though, is augmented reality, or AR. Now, for those of you that don't know the difference, virtual reality, this is the layman's explanation of the difference. Virtual reality is putting you in an artificial world. Augmented reality is putting an artificial world into your world. So to understand what I mean by that, Microsoft has been showing their lenses, the Microsoft lenses, to do this. Imagine being able to play Minecraft, but my Minecraft world is right here on this table. And I can rotate it, I can zoom it, I can pull it back, I can click, I can do everything right here on this table. Imagine that I'm doing that, by the way, and I want to watch a movie at the same time. Up there on that wall is Netflix. I don't need to buy a 60-inch because I've got like a 300-inch screen right there for me to watch. That's augmented reality. That, to me, is more exciting coming forward. If I were to see games done in virtual reality, that would be fun. Fallout would be kind of fun in virtual reality. They say that Valkyrie for Eve is kind of fun, but I hear Elite Dangerous is better in virtual reality. Ghost, there you go. And we all know, though, what the first really successful game in virtual reality be. It'll be Leisure Suit Larry. Yeah, provided they fix it. Yeah, that's the fun thing about, well, the sad thing about gaming this long. A couple of months ago, I wanted to go down memory lane, and they remade Leisure Suit Larry. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to stream Leisure Suit Larry. And we loaded up the game. The stream was all excited. We're just going to play Leisure Suit Larry. And I've been playing for about an hour and a half, and man, did this game really suck this bad when I was young? The game was awful because then those games were new. Nobody had ever done anything like that before. And the leather goddesses of Phobos, okay? Seriously, there were some of the Day of the Tentacle. You had these incredible games at the time because no one had ever seen or done anything like them. And then you come forward, everybody's done something like that now. Okay, yawn. Dude, let's move on and find something else to play. Any other questions? Yes. You said you were going to sit in front and harass me. You really did. I'd like to thank you for being a man of your word. Thunderbolt's dead. Thunderbolt is dead. Let it go. Thunderbolt is like, there's like 1,000 others. External serial ATA. Seriously, how many of you actually used an external serial ATA on a regular basis hard drive? Okay, 1. He's also a COBOL programmer, folks. He's got no girlfriends and lives in his mama's basement. Okay. Thank you for playing. Pardon? A CRT monitor? Oh my God. Oh my God. I probably owned one on the day it released. Yeah, our monitors weighed 400 pounds and we liked it that way. Land events for hell on earth. Land events back in those days were hell on earth, okay? There was no such thing as a mid-tower. There was no such thing as ITX, as a mini-tower. Full towers were it. It's like you can have any color you want as long as it's black. Well, back then it was any color you want as long as it was beige, and any size you wanted as long as it was 400 pounds. All right, and that was it. All right, so the keyboards, we had the full-size keyboards. We had the big honkin' micer for those weird people, the trackballs. And then we had this 100-pound CRT monitor. Going to a LAN party was like going to the gym for a week just setting up. It was nuts, but we did it anyway because we loved playing together. That's how much we loved PC gaming back in the day. All right, yes. Yes. Yeah, for those of you that don't know what degaussing is, okay, back in the day, dude, you're nowhere near as old as me, so you just like vintage things, don't you? I bet the girl you date's like 70, right? Okay, so anyway, this is all love for you, brother. This is love and respect. So anyway, degaussing your monitor, what would happen is static would build up on these CRT monitors, and you need to occasionally clean the static. Well, the correct way to clean the static, it was called a degaussing module. This is a fancy word for an electromagnet. And you go down the screen, and the screen would go nuts. If you had a PC next to it with a floppy, your floppies were all dead. Okay, everybody remembers the floppy disk, right? Well, actually, most of you don't. Most of you remember, here's a fun story for you back in the day. Original floppy disks were 8.5, 5 1/4, and they were bigger. And these were made out of Mylar with a paper outside. And when you did like this at the corner, they flopped. That's why they were called floppies. So I think it was Sony that invented the 3.5-inch disc format. Now, this was done in a plastic shell. It still had the Mylar disc, but it was done in a plastic shell with a metal sleeve over it to give it durability, so it could hold up to being dropped and stuff, which, believe it or not, Mylar, for some reason, dropping it hurt it. Okay, I don't know why dropping paper hurts it, but it hurt it. It was its feelings. It was just, so anyway, so they did this. Sony decided they weren't going to call it a floppy because it didn't flop. They tried to market it as a stiffy. I'm not kidding you. They actually tried for 3 months to market it as a stiffy until somebody pointed out to the Asian Sony Corporation that this was an inappropriate term in Western civilization. Go figure. I got all sorts of stories like this from the old days. Go ahead. Dude, I used to buy floppies or stiffies in packs of 200. Multicolored and ribbed for our pleasure. And because we were all notorious pirates back then, and we didn't have flash drives and USBs, you'd go over to your buddy's house with a pack of 200 discs to copy a game that took 6 discs to hold, by the way, but it took 12 discs to copy because the first 6 would break. It was not a good era for us because you couldn't, the backups were done by floppies, okay? A floppy disk, though, is just a piece of Mylar, like I said, with a little pieces of magnetic filing that are either standing up or falling down. If you sneeze on it, you lost your data. So it was an interesting time back in the day. We were in a heyday, man. People get all upset. We're in a golden age, dude. Anybody else? I think I've run them out of questions. Go ahead. Yes. An ITX what? Okay, so here we go. I'm going to give you guys a scoop right now. Nobody else on the planet has heard this. Sapphire will release a... All right, you're welcome, folks. Enjoy that. Now, we tried to do... So we're at CES. The 1 year I did CES with Bill Donnelly, and it was... I think it was the 200 series launch. And we're trying to do some videos and have some fun. Logan and Tech Syndicate is with us. And we can't talk about, maybe it was a 300 series, we can't talk about the new launch yet. But everybody's asking about, well, we can't talk about it on camera. So Logan and I get the camera up, and we decide to have some fun. And so Logan says, so Ed, I understand you're going to scoop us right now and give us the information on this particular card. Yes, I am, Logan. I'm going to tell you right now. And then what they did was we lip-synced it and just kept going. We talked about just nothing in general. But every now and then we'd stop and Logan would make a comment about the card again. And they were going to go back into post-production and put a beep, and underneath it was going to say, material deleted by request of AMD Legal. We thought that would be funny, right? That would be funny. AMD Legal didn't think it was funny. They've got no sense of humor. I'm not kidding. The legal department at AMD has no sense of humor. I don't believe they've ever had sex. I don't believe that. They're going to see this video. Hey, guys, I love you. No sense of humor, no sex. Unless you paid for it. Hey, I've watched the lawyer shows. I know how it works. Okay, any other questions? All right, this is your last chance. I'm serious. I'll answer anything. If I'd have had a couple of reds, I'd have answered a lot more. They were telling me I couldn't drink before the presentation. I said, dude, if I drink, it'll be a lot more fun.
Some of us have seen you drink. There's a reason we intervene on your behalf.
Yeah, that was an interesting day, too, but we won't get into that. Any other questions? All right, so here's what we're going to have you do. All of you that are here, for those of you that didn't come over to watch the presentation, you all suck because you don't get a chance to win. So because you came over here and we're a lovely audience and decided to sit here and put up with my BS as an old man for a long time, thank you. When I go to a nursing home, 24-inch monitor. If you want to see this in action, by the way, if you don't win it, it's at my desk. It's running. And we've got a 380 video card here. One of you is going to get a really nice gaming upgrade. Now, how do I pick a winner? Shall we have a stripper contest, maybe? Rob Lizard Spock. And if you don't know how to play, you're out. If you don't know how to play, you're out. Okay, no stripper contest, no dance-offs. Twerking competition. I don't know if we can videotape that. I offered to do a twerking competition. No!
Is there an ambulance?
I offered to, with Shannon Robb from Thermaltake, do a twerking competition at PDX. I was told I'd be banned for life. Don't ask me. You know what? Let's do this.
How about who can give you the best kiss?
Ooh, baby.
See, I'm excluded from the competition, so it's all good.
Ooh, baby. Well, I don't know. Some of these people, yes, I'm looking at you. I don't want to kiss me. I mean,
You guys' beards would get all tangled up and everything.
I mean, this fight to separate our faces. Okay, so let's do this. How about we have them reach up their butt and the person that pulls out the right thing wins?
Cure hiccups.
You like that? You know what? It's just, everybody's got to cure your hiccups because under someone's seat is a card to say you won. Oh, they're examining seats next to them. Oh, God, please, I see crack. We got the card. So this is yours. Enjoy it. Thank you all, by the way, for being great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Go play some games and have some fun, guys.